Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you to our panel. Mayor Horgan, like you've done in Akron, many cities across Georgia are looking to make major investments in infrastructure, including Columbus, Georgia, the Chattahoochee River Valley region, Muskogee County. And these investments in transit and transportation networks can better connect communities and businesses, make it easier for folks to get to work, attract more jobs and investment. So as we build infrastructure legislation here in the Senate, Mayor Horgan, do you agree that regions of Georgia, like the Chattahoochee River Valley, Columbus, Georgia, can benefit, as have the community you represent, with major investments in transit and transportation infrastructure?
Thank you, Senator. Absolutely. I mean, we actually, Akron sits between Cleveland and Canton, and I appreciate Senator Dane and Mayor Andrus's efforts to not be on that MSA. They tried to lump us in with Cleveland's MSA. They're a distinct region, and quite frankly, the market will figure out, if people need to get back and forth someplace. We happen to be blessed with two federal highways that connect both of those cities, but getting people back there and getting them, on public transportation back and forth to where the jobs are so they can get back home is absolutely critical, for them to be able to get to that job and make sure that they can get back home too. So those investments, they do pay off because people they're able to get around better and they have a stable option to be able to get to work and get back home.
Thank you so much, Mayor. I appreciate that. And Mayor Andrus, like in Bozeman, a lot of the economic development and job growth we're seeing in Georgia is taking place in smaller communities outside of the state capital. Evans, Georgia is the perfect illustration of such a town. Evans is located just outside Augusta, where we have Fort Gordon, which hosts the U.S. Army Cyber Center for Excellence. And from 2015 to 2020, Evans saw a 17% increase in its employed population. Growing cities and towns need to invest in infrastructure to build more roads, connect people with accessible transit, attract more jobs. How could a city like Evans, Georgia, benefit from historic investments in infrastructure based upon your experience leading Bozeman, please?
Well, thank you. I really appreciate the question. Are you asking specifically about housing or transit? Maybe you could clarify that for me.
Your experience with investments in the infrastructure that's right for your community.
Oh, thank you. Well, I think that we have a capital improvement plan that we look at 4 or 5 years out, and we look at where we need to make those investments and what kinds of things are really going to help us open development and open up areas for new building in Montana. And I believe that some of those investments some of the programs that I mentioned that the federal government offers through the CDBG and the home program, if you look at making them a little more flexible, we are not an entitlement community, as I'm sure perhaps the community that you're mentioning is not either. So we have to compete for funding from some of our smaller communities in Montana. And if we were able to have a little more flexibility in that program, a little more funding in that program, I think it would help a lot to aid in the infrastructure decisions that we are making.
Thank you so much, Mayor Andrus. With my remaining time, please, Mayor Woods. Tempe is making big strides in clean energy, and congratulations to you for the investments that you're making in renewable energy infrastructure, which creates jobs and helps us sustain our natural habitat. In Southwest Georgia, including areas of the state like Albany, Valdosta, Bainbridge, and Thomasville, we're also uniquely positioned to take advantage of opportunities in solar energy production, given our location and the infrastructure that already exists there. Can you please reflect, Mayor Woods, based on your experience, on how Southwest Georgia, given the assets that we have, might benefit economically from increased investment in clean energy, as you have made such investments in and around Tempe?
Absolutely, Senator Ossoff. Thank you for the question. So energy use accounts for about 70% of our municipal carbon emissions and about 50% of our community investments. We have actually 6 municipal buildings here in the city of Tempe with solar on them right now to minimize municipal carbon emissions. And so one of our big priorities is working on these sort of resiliency hubs with our local electric companies, Arizona Public Service, Salt River Project. These hubs really do demonstrate how solar and battery storage can be used in the case of extreme heat and temperatures. And right now, today is a 118-degree day right here in Arizona. So the fact that we're studying the use of these resiliency hubs is huge and really will help to protect us when there are issues when it comes to extreme heat. So funding that really helps to continue to prioritize this kind of work when it comes to solar, the purpose of creating environmental sustainability and reducing emissions is huge for the city of Tempe and for the entire region.
Thank you, Mayor Woods. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.